Long I have wandered. I have walked on a bridge, winding and endless in the dark, with only stars to light the way. There are strange windows, portals I don't dare to enter. Whispering voices ebb and flow from these voids. Some that whisper hope, and some that speak of destruction. Some voices are familiar, and some are completely new. I dare not follow the voices beyond the portals, however. The Force guides me, telling me not to disturb their energy. So, I am trapped. I don't know where I am, or why I'm here. I gave my life for Rey. So why am I breathing? Why am I left isolated again without her? The only escape from this place is the remembrance of the kiss she gave me. Her smile as she said my name. My true name.
Hoping to see Rey, Ben stops at the sound of his name and rushes to the nearest portal. He takes a few steps back in alarm as a wisp of white smoke appears before him. It morphs into human form, but has no hair and no face. The presence is eerie, yet somehow familiar. The wisp then glides past Ben and stops at a different portal. It turns to face him and extends an arm in invitation. As he slowly walks up to the wisp, it motions for him to face the portal. Ben guards himself, ready to attack in case the need arises. He takes a look at the faceless wisp, then turns to face the portal. His breath catches in his chest, for it looks like liquid glass, an illuminated puddle of what appears to be memories.
Look, see. Be brave. Go with your uncle Ben. He will take care of you. He will know how to help you. Be brave.
Ben turns back to the wisp. He feels a female presence now, one that is no longer eerie and foreboding, but a presence of warmth and truth.
Shmi.
At that moment, her face materializes. Whether this was truly her spirit or just an apparition of the Force's design, Ben knew and felt that it was her, even though he had never met her. He was glad to feel a familial presence in the darkness. Shmi motions for Ben to follow her. She stops at another portal and guides Ben to gaze into it.
Didn't want this. I never wanted this. I didn't mean to do this.
Shmi motions for Ben to continue looking.
See the truth.
Ben sees lightning coming from the sky. It suddenly strikes Luke's temple and engulfs it in flames. Amidst the roar of the fire, Ben can hear now what he couldn't hear then. The unmistakable sound of laughter. Sidious. Suddenly, he sees himself standing before the temple, hears himself yelling, "No!" ready to run towards it to save anyone he can, but not before it explodes, sending him flying backwards. Ben watches himself get up, sees the look of devastation and regret on his face, and now remembers feeling it as well. He turns to Shmi, his eyes welling with tears.
Assumptions spread lies, Ben.
Shmi reaches out and hugs him. It's a mother's embrace, one that is identical to Leia's. It's as if both his mother and great-grandmother were embracing him together. Ben weeps more.
Sidious blinded you from seeing with clarity. The guilt of what happened at the temple is not fully yours to carry.
Ben feels a shift in the presence and pulls away. He sees that another spirit stands in Shmi's place, a regal-looking woman with wavy hair tied up in an intricate design. Her face is different from Shmi, yet her eyes are the same eyes as his mother. Padme reaches out and puts her hands on his cheeks. She smiles.
I waited a very long time for this moment.
Ben's head is swimming. The flood of emotions is almost more than he can stand. He wipes his face on his sleeve as Padme smiles again and takes his hand. She leads him over to another portal.
She waited too. She never stopped.
I remember the boy who played with these dice. The boy who wanted to be a pilot, just like his father. Come home, Ben.
Padme takes Ben's hand again and places the dice inside, closing his fingers around them.
You thought the disappearing dice was another Jedi trick. That was no trick. That was a message.
No one's ever really gone.
Your family loves you, Ben. They always have.
Ben looks down at the dice in his hand, ready to see them disappear. This time, though, they remain, a tangible gift. What was once his father's lucky charm has now become a symbol of hope and restitution. While Ben was a boy, they were a promise of what he wanted to be. But now, as a man, they are a reminder of who he is. His father's son, a Solo. Ben now knows he was always loved and is still, and if he ever doubts this fact again, he has these dice to remind him. Ben looks up to speak, but Padme's spirit has already faded back into the darkness. As Ben sees his mother's body disappear, he feels yet another presence close to his shoulder. He doesn't have to turn to see who the figure is. He already knows. He turns anyway and sees his mother, fully manifested in the Force. Ben! No other words are uttered as Leia Organa finally holds her son in her arms. She strokes his silky hair just as she did when he was a baby, and when he was a young boy. Ben, starved for affection, has received more hugs in the last hour than he has in the last 12 years. Yet no hug is more comforting, more fulfilling than his mother's. Leia reluctantly pulls back and puts her hand on his face, studying him, just like his grandmother did. She hasn't seen him since he left with her brother, and she chuckles at how much Ben grew into the likeness of his father. She hugs him once more.
Mom.
I know.
Leia pulls his hair back, revealing his large ears.
Come with me. There's another person whom I know you love more than you love me, even though a part of me hates to admit that.
Ben's ears perk, and his heart stops.
Rey.
Leia's face drops. Her ever-present spunk mellows, and concern replaces it. Ben follows his mother down the bridge with trepidation. What happened to Rey? His mother had wits of steel, and a face of concern like this doesn't bode well. Each step he takes is weighted with dread. Leia stops.
So far you have received clarity from the past, but now you will experience the truth of the present.
As Ben approaches the portal, he feels a heaviness overcome him. Grief, isolation, pain. Before he even sees or hears anything, his soul unites with the inner turmoil of his other half. He hesitates and pulls back.
Touch the portal, Ben. This time you must enter.
Ben touches the portal. The reflective liquid ripples, and unlike the other times, the energy pulls him on the other side. When he gets to the other side, he comes face to face with Chewbacca.
Uncle Chewie!
Chewie stands in front of him but doesn't flinch. He goes on picking up an old faded bag from his cabin. Ben's face falls.
Uncle Chewie.
Chewie still doesn't acknowledge him.
He cannot hear you, Ben. We are here only to observe.
Ben stares at the ground for a few seconds, but recovers quickly. He must see Rey. He may not be able to touch her, but he can see her. And with that gift, he will have some contentment. Both Leia and Ben follow Chewie to the outside of the cockpit. Poe, Finn, Jannah, and Rose are working on the Falcon, making needed repairs according to Chewie's instructions. Chewie calls them into the main hold. He opens the bag to reveal presents for the crew. Tonight, they celebrate Life Day, and Chewie knows Rey can't miss this. Perhaps the celebration will ease the hurt he has noticed in her. Rose gets up and goes to get Rey from her cabin. Ben's heart starts racing. Rey comes from the cabin and walks right past Ben.
Look back at me. See me.
Rey flinches. She looks over towards Ben and Leia, but doesn't see anything. She turns to Chewie as he hands her a blue glowing orb. She smiles. Ben can't take his eyes off of her. Her smile is exactly as he remembered. Rey giggles and gives Chewie a squeeze. Wookiees believe that they will walk among the stars someday. The gazer of the orb sees the night sky aglow with stars, simulating that belief. Rey stares into her orb. Her face transitions from delight to sadness. She knew that sky, heard those voices, felt the darkness on the other end. She walked among them and died. But Ben pulled her back and took her place. Life Day. Rey felt the very name of the holiday mocking her. All she saw in that orb was the coldness of space and the emptiness she still felt inside. Before the tears come, Rey thanks Chewie for the gift, excuses herself, and goes back to her cabin. Once there, she can no longer hold back her emotions. Ben follows her, tries to place his hand on her shoulder, but it just passes through her like he's a ghost. In a way, he is. She doesn't respond. Ben turns to his mother, half hurt, half angry.
Why did you bring me here? Why did you insist upon it? Command it! When you knew that what waited on the other side of this portal was Rey. Alone. With this so-called family. This family that replaced me.
Yes, they are my family. They are Rey's family. And they are your family. I never replaced you, Ben.
I gave her everything. I gave her my life. She's empty and alone. I feel it. The vacancy. I feel her pain as if it were my own. Sidious! Of course. Is this you again? All of this an illusion to torment me? Is this what I get as my punishment? The living hell of walking back and forth, roaming the dark, following a bridge with no destination? I guess I deserve this. I deserve more.
I have not come to judge you, Ben.
I brought nothing to my family. Nothing to this world except death and destruction. I deserve this. I deserve this hell.
So did I. But I was forgiven. As you were. As you are.
The hooded figure takes off his robes to reveal the Force ghost of Anakin Skywalker.
Do you know who I am, Ben?
Ben nods. His jaw clenches.
The one that I sought to speak to me, to guide me, yet I only heard the voice of Sidious!
Ben turns his head to Rey, lying in her cot, crying.
You left her to rot on Exegol! You! And all the Jedi!
You told me you wanted to finish what I started, and we didn't intervene to allow you to fulfill that request.
Some won't say the Padme. Only one with powers can do that.
This scavenger resisted you. You have compassion for her.
Compassion, I will define as unconditional, essential to Jedi's life.
All I want is your love.
And I will finish what you started.
Your compassion saved the love of your life. You became a true Jedi, the Jedi I longed to be.
But at what cost? We're both empty and alone once again. Rey. Rey. I should never have been born. I accomplished nothing. Giving my life to her accomplished nothing. Except more pain for her.
With those words, a portal opens at the bottom of Ben's feet. He falls through and lands on the floor of Exegol. The ground splits apart as pillars and debris fall around him. He turns and sees Rey. Her face is dark, yet ashen. She wears a black cape and carries a blood-red staff saber. Ben closes his eyes in disbelief.
No. Rey, no.
He opens his eyes again to see Rey seated on a throne. The ritual has already taken place. She is the Dark Empress, the vessel Sidious desired her to be. Fire rains down from the sky, and screams echo from every corner. The air fills with smoke, and Ben can no longer see.
Rey! Rey! Answer me!
He pushes through the smoke, trying to find Rey, trying to save her from herself, save her from the man who tormented him, tormented them both. As Ben makes his way out of the smoke, the hooded figure reappears. Ben kneels at its feet.
Please, take me, Sidious, take me! I am a worthy vessel, take me, please!
The hooded figure reveals a distorted face of Anakin Skywalker. He is not the Force ghost Ben just met, but a tormented spirit, half a young man's face, half the demented machine of Darth Vader. He snatches Ben by his shirt, lifts him up in the air, and hurls him down a chasm, just as Sidious did. This time, Ben feels it is his grave, his permanent resting place. Rey is lost. All is lost. His descent down the pit continues. Suddenly, he feels warmth on his chest. The dice Padme had given him are glowing and becoming increasingly warm. It is the only light in the pit, but the only light he needs. This time he cannot forget. 3 generations of the women of his family visited him tonight. Shmi and Padme defied the rules of manifestation to show Ben the truth. Leia made him see her found family in a new light. They can be his family too. His lifetime desire to speak to Anakin was fulfilled, and he indeed finished what his grandfather started. Ben realizes he isn't falling anymore, but standing. He looks around and sees the hooded, disfigured Anakin once again. With renewed hope and strength, he confronts it. As soon as he approaches, the figure dissolves into smoke, and another figure stands in its place.
You are the only hope. Rise, Ben.
Anakin reemerges. He's a young man again, the Force ghost in full manifestation.
Rise, Ben, and balance the Force. You wanted to hear me, now you hear. Rise and save Rey.
How?
You said you never wanted to be born. You need Rey. Rey needs you. You are the dyad for a reason. In your loneliest hours, you offered hope to one another. You are each other's light.
Anakin steps back to reveal a child behind him. Ben sees a little girl huddled in a corner of the interior of a rusted AT-AT. A very small light from a lamp flickers in the darkness to reveal her face. It's Rey, not more than 10 years old. She tosses and turns in fits from a restless sleep.
Can you comfort her, Ben?
Ben walks closer to the child, kneels down, and speaks to her.
Rey, I'm not sure you can hear me, but I will come back for you. Sweetheart, stay here. I will come back for you, I promise. Stay here, in the light. The light will keep you safe.
Little Rey hears the voice and opens her eyes to see a mysterious light in the corner. The little girl who had no hope when she went to sleep now feels hopeful again.
I won't lose hope, I promise.
Rey takes a tool that is laid by her bedside and scratches a tick mark into the wall. She's not alone. She has someone who will come back. To remind herself, she will count the days until that voice comes back to her, the voice that heard her crying in the night. She lays back down on her cot. The warmth of the presence of the light in her room helps her go back to sleep. It warms the cold floor, and she smiles as she dreams of an island and a little black-haired boy playing with dice. Ben smiles and breathes. He didn't just save Rey's life on Exegol. His life-saving work began 10 years ago. What he thought was small and insignificant, just words, mere words, saved Rey from Sidious, saved her light from going out. The words he spoke at this moment were always supposed to happen. At that realization, Ben disappears into the light, returning to the bridge covered with stars. This time, though, the world didn't seem so dark and meandering. The stars were brighter, and some portals seemed to call him to enter. Suddenly, Leia appears again and calls to him.
Ben, you are right, son, that you did much damage to this galaxy. You are forgiven, know that. But your soul needs to make amends.
Ben slowly nods his head. Leia puts her hand on his face.
You will not journey on your own. I will guide you. Others will guide you. The Jedi are broken. Their decisions hurt many, and it's time we all make amends. We will journey with you. You will not be alone in this quest.
Leia opens a portal, and Ben alone enters. On the other side, he sees Rey, asleep in her cot on the cabin in the Falcon. This time, she is warm and safe, surrounded by a family who loves her and who will protect her at all costs. Her sleep, though, is still troubled. She still needs him to comfort her like no other can. Ben covers her with an extra blanket folded at the bottom of the cot. He places his hand on her head and strokes her hair, amazed that it moves at his touch. Rey feels his hand and smiles in her sleep.
I love you, Rey. I must stay here in this world for a little while longer, though, to make amends with the people that I hurt. I know we have things we must still do together. The Force isn't done with us yet. I don't know how, but I know the Force will guide me back to you.
He leans down and kisses her on the cheek.
Stay here. I'll come back, sweetheart. I promise.
Ben takes the chain of dice and breaks one off, setting it on a table next to the bed. As Ben disappears, Rey wakes up. She dreamt of the promise she heard on Jakku. Just a dream, she sighs. As she stands up to go back out to her friends, a small glisten catches the corner of her eye. Her breath catches as she leans over to see one lone golden die sitting on her bedside table, a part of Han's pair of dice. She picks it up and lays it in her palm. As she smiles, she feels a sense of renewed hope. No one is ever truly gone, she remembers. She closes her fingers around the die and jumps out of her cot. She quickly finds and opens the sacred text with the star charts. One text has called to her since Ben disappeared, and now she knows why. Ben will come back to her. All she has to do is make a plan, and hope, for the Force is with them.